Good morning. Perhaps like many of you, when I was a teenager, I was really angry and frustrated. I was angry and frustrated predominantly, though, because I was asked this one question almost every day. The question was, what are you? And because this conference, the theme is the space in between, that really resonates for me. Because at a young age, I had to understand, what am I? What are people looking for when they ask me that question? I soon found out that they were wondering what my ethnic background was, but it took a long time to figure that out. I didn't have a historical or alternative education to teach me what racism or classism or sexism was. I didn't. It just didn't exist for me. So when I was, I would say 18 years old, I decided that I was going to learn as many instruments as I could because music really resonated for me. Music was the channel. It resonates in every single one of us when we're going through a breakup or really excited about something or we want to go to a party. We feel it going through our bodies. And that spoke to me because I felt like I was being seen but never heard. I also found film to be really resilient. It felt invigorating that somebody could construct a story that would really influence people. We're so influenced by those images, those stories that are created, but they're not always created by us. Like this young woman that you see here, when I was making music, it did feel very alone at the time. I wasn't very encouraged. I ended up being in a couple of different, predominantly male-dominated bands. And those bands were really fun. I really had a great time. Indie rock bands, woo! But I kept feeling like I was still just being seen and not heard. I felt like I was just the prop in front who's playing the synth and singing backup vocals. It's not exactly what I imagined for myself. But it was a stepping stone. And so when I went through undergraduate college and also still being in bands, I was studying a lot about gender studies and art history, and I found this incredible feminist artist who was also mixed race, and her name is Adrienne Piper. She was based in the 70s. And so I was using a lot of art to translate my experience and those images that an artist, maybe that could be like me, was showcasing. In graduate school, I continued studying women's and gender studies because that seemed like the place for me. And I was trying to figure out where to do my graduate practicum, like, oh, what am I going to do? Where am I going to go? And somebody in the office said, Ingrid, didn't you hear there's some kind of rock camp for girls out west? You should check it out. I did some research, I found them, I contacted the founder at the time, and shortly I was on a plane to Portland, Oregon, where the very first rock and roll camp for girls was started. So, when I was there at rock camp, before this even started, it was about a week or two before, I was flipping through a lot of applications. I'm like, who are these girls? What am I going to expect? And when I was looking in these applications, I realized that a third of them were of mixed race descent. A third. And I checked out the program and I saw, wow, we're offering all kinds of great workshops. We're talking about the history of women in rock music, self-defense, all this awesome songwriting that beats the norm. But nothing was talking about race or class or identity. So that night, me and a coworker, we created something, a curriculum called Image versus Identity. How do you actually become somebody who's identified and represented? And so we had girls from 8 to 18 all week in our workshop. And we really talked about big words like patriarchy and oppression and media literacy and analyzing the media. How does music making and media making connect to our power collectively? One of the other really important things about Rock Camp, though, not just learning about image versus identity, is voice. It's so critical that we get power to come up to a microphone and feel confident and to say, this is where I belong. What I'm saying, what comes out of my voice box here matters. So seeing an 8-year-old feel like this and then come up to you and say, "Thank you for teaching me about gender dichotomies," is very rewarding. But one of the things that I also learned at Rock Camp is that it takes so much practice. This is only a week camp. So you're practicing, you're learning drums for the first time, and it sounds like a lot of you maybe were first-time drummers as well this morning. Only good things. But to see girls practice, this is radical. Some of them were told at a very young age that girls don't drum. That's not something girls do. So doing something radical that's maybe not typical, that's not the norm, that's where we should all be focusing. That's where we should be heard. That's where we should be investing our efforts, not just in young people in the next generation, but in ourselves. When's the last time you felt radical? And one of the things you can't see about this wonderful slide of these two girls is there are 2 or 3 adult mentors over here. Those mentors represent the importance of role models. All of you women clearly are here because you have something powerful to learn and to say. The next generation of young media makers needs to hear the words you would want to say to the next generation. Think about it. Because empowerment feels like this. Confidence and courage feels like this. Collaboration, to be in a band or just collaborate with friends or in the workplace, can feel like this. Investing in the next generation can feel like this. Yes, it takes practice. Yes, we need to be bold. But in the end, the outcome is to feel like this. It can also feel like this. It can feel intimidating. It can feel like I'm not too sure, but I'm up here in front of 300 people. This is a 10-year-old that I met when I was a founding member of the Willie Mae Rock Camp for girls. This young woman is now 17 years old and has created her own EP and is performing in Portland, Oregon at Center Stage. But this is where she came from. This was the stepping stone. It was because she had this space to be encouraged that she got up on the stage at 10 and faced an audience of 300. But again, it takes practice. It also takes being open to what impacts your personal life. After that summer of Rock Camp, I realized that I needed to do something differently if I was going to transform on stage. So I ended up being in an all-girl rock band, and we toured every single state in this nation, and we're all female, so we got to see how people reacted to us. Reacting to us at gas stations, that was interesting. Reacting to us as we unloaded all of our heavy amps and equipment. People are shocked. Where's your male roadies? Why are you even touching anything? Well, I'm the musician here. So one of the things I really like about music and performance is even looking at this stage here, you have so much room to move. Like, it's everything we do is a performance, everything. But we also have to remember everything we perform, everything that we showcase that impacts that next generation, because it does do that. It does influence. It is the role model. It makes people, it's contagious. Confidence is contagious. But we also have to remember what we're up against. We see between 2,000 and 3,000 advertisement images per day. That's a lot. And that does something. It permeates what we come to understand as the norm. Everything is so constructed. We have to fit in these categories where, what are you doing? You're stepping outside. That's not appropriate. Maybe it is. I kind of like that. I kind of want to do that, but I'm scared. It's really important to see how we as women are constantly being showcased. And it's unfortunate and it's not fair, but that's why, for even more reason than anything, we need to become media makers and creators for that voice to resonate. I really love this image because it could be 2 women who are potential musicians, and they're feeling really good and having a good time. But what holds up to their face, which could have been a microphone, is an ice cream cone that they're supposed to lick. And that doesn't mean at all that that is for you to see. That is for a male audience. That's the intended male audience. That's them. But yet we see it, and it does impact us, does it not? But if we were to see an image which, in my opinion, is much more commanding on the right, I think girls and all of us would be treated differently. She is not going to take any bullshit. You're not going to give me a raise? Let's talk later. Powerful, powerful, powerful. What I'd like to leave you all with is not that you have to become a musician tomorrow, but I would really like you to consider how you make media, how you create media, how you might actually be harming or contributing to messages that harm. Are you helping another young woman out? When it's the last time that you actually spoke to an audience of teens? When I was introduced, you guys introduced me as the director of the next generation of youth programs at the Bay Area Video Coalition. So yes, I'm working with young people all the time in various different amounts of media. There are spaces that exist, resources that exist. If you've never coded before, does everybody know what coding is? Kind of. There's so many resources out there to learn. Now, these days, it's like flipping under the hood. You see how everything is managed. You can use WebMaker and Thimble and X-ray goggles. You can go take a class and learn how to actually make film, do web graphic design, gaming. All these wonderful things are accessible to you. So think about that. Remember to invest in yourselves when you think about investing in the next generation of young media makers and change shapers. Thank you.